Hi everybody, this is Des and Lauren, and this morning we'll be speaking about how different life is going to look in about 12 years' time.
Well, around 2035 and then 2050, we're going to look at two specific dates where you will not recognize the country that we live in, the world that we live in, if the plans that the United Nations has come to fruition. And you will not have petrol or diesel vehicles on the road at all. They will in fact be banned. So the headline to this article, and this is from Business Tech, says South Africa may look to ban new petrol and diesel cars by 2035, and here is why. And we're going to delve into why this would be necessary. You know, the cost of these climate goals for South Africa, what it's going to mean to you and me.
I want to interject for a moment and just use this as an example, an opportunity to point out that our government is not the enemy. It's a symptom of the enemy.
Yeah, they're not in control.
Not at all. It doesn't matter which political party in this current system is in charge. We still have to answer to these international goals, the SDGs, that ultimately comes from the United Nations SDGs.
And these decisions were made many years ago.
Many years
in 1945, when the UN was established, our country made decisions, and yeah.
We have no sovereignty. We should run for our lives, run for the hills.
But or we can organize, plan, etc.
South Africa may have to ban the sale of new internal combustion vehicles by 2035.
Now, to reach that, you're going to have to start doing something before that time, obviously.
So that's in 12 years, which means my youngest would be 22 years, turning 22 years old. So just think about it. 12 years might sound long, but it's actually, it's
around the corner.
Goes by in a blink of an eye. And shift as much as 20% of road traffic to rail to meet its committed climate goals submitted at COP26. And one can argue that we should have a working rail
yes,
transport system
absolutely,
anyway.
I agree.
But we shouldn't do it because of COP26. We shouldn't do it because of United Nations. We shouldn't do it because of the climate goals.
We should do it because it's common sense.
Yes.
We don't want to pollute the atmosphere just for fun. If there's a good railway system in place, I would make use of it. Many other people could make use of it.
Absolutely.
And most people will. You must just make the provision.
But do you see what's so important here? And we haven't even gotten into the article. We could have a functioning government that has a functioning public transport system, including railway, and everyone would still have the freedom to use their cars. Now we've been pushed into a situation where we believe that certain things are happening to the climate. So now we have to ban the use of these combustion vehicles, meaning that our freedom to move around as we wish is going to be completely obliterated in the next 12.
And it will be long before 2035 that will start. So can you imagine what this is going to look like? Okay, let's carry on with the article.
This is according to a new report by the National Business Initiative in partnership with Business Unity SA and Boston Consulting Group. The report aimed to better understand how South Africa could achieve its revised national determined contribution to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC.
So for the first time, we are now starting to see the repercussions of what we have committed to, and I don't think it's been put out.
But I need to highlight again what I said earlier. Bad governance plays into the global agenda to force us to adopt these changes. And for the majority,
not just here. For
the majority person out there, they're going to think it's wonderful because the UN is coming to our rescue because our government's incompetent. Meanwhile, they needed our government to be incompetent, for us to buy into these changes.
Exactly.
The revised NDC committed the country to reduce carbon emissions within a target range of 350 million tons to 420 million tons of CO2 equivalent by 2030, a 20% to 33% reduction of current emissions, and to achieve net zero emissions by 2050.
So this is the year 2030 coming into the UN's Agenda 2030, the 2050 agenda. So by 2050, no carbon emissions. Whether you believe in carbon emissions or not, we're not getting into that debate now. We're looking at the repercussions of what is being put out.
Yet they'll still pile people into metros.
Yes, of course.
It says that close to 90% of transport emissions are from road transport. And we've discussed this in previous videos before. There are about 8 million passenger vehicles on South Africa's roads and over 300,000 minibus taxis, 60,000 buses and 3 million freight vehicles. And that last one is where there's a big problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, the freight vehicles,
This, before we get into the details, just this summarizes everything nicely. According to the report, South Africa faces the dual challenge of decarbonizing whilst improving transport as a service for consumers and enabling other sectors to decarbonize, all while mitigating rather than exasperating existing socio-economic challenges and seizing emerging opportunities to support its social economic development agenda. Welcome to the fourth industrial revolution, where everyone's going to suffer.
And smart cities, everyone plonked, and a couple of pandemics along the way to sort the numbers out.
Yes.
Okay, so investment. Are they talking finances? Someone's going to make money out of this, okay?
Of course.
Someone's going to make lots of money out of this. In fact, I watched a video yesterday where there's tens of thousands of electric vehicles standing in China, abandoned, but all registered to people so that companies can prove to the Chinese government that they are selling record numbers of electric vehicles. So that the government's reinvesting these companies and they are hiding them, literally, in massive pieces of land. It's absolutely farcical, and these cars have not driven. They have hardly driven, and they are just standing there to rot. This is all a farce, a huge farce.
Well, Cape Town bought electric buses long time ago.
And they couldn't make it up the hill.
The buses couldn't make it up the hill, so they invested millions, I think, was it 30 million? Could have been more. I don't remember numbers well. They invested millions of our taxpayers' money, and the buses were not tested to see if they could actually go up our steep inclines.
But imagine all of these batteries sitting in these tens of thousands of cars, just abandoned, never been used, and what went into producing those batteries? You know, the slave trade in children to actually produce those batteries. But that's besides the point. Let's get into what's going to happen to you and your petrol or diesel vehicle, your beloved vehicle. And further down in the article, it actually goes into the details with regards to that. And we will put a link to this article in the description below this video, as well as in the first comment. And yeah.
The report estimates that repairing and developing new rail infrastructure will require investments of at least 300 billion rand. Given the country's constrained balance of payments, it would need to be carefully managed and strategically prioritized.
Yeah, it's 300 billion rand. That's 300,000 million. So someone's going to make big bucks. This is big money. And obviously the plebs will make nothing out of this. We are funding it, of course. And then the few will become gazillionaires out of these initiatives.
Public-private partnerships could help in addressing the significant investment. Public-private partnerships. And then in addition, the corresponding impact on the 430,000 jobs linked to the MBT industry and 260,000 jobs related to the freight sector would need to be carefully managed. Those jobs are nothing. Of 40 million adult South Africans, that is not even scratching the surface.
But that's boring stuff. What's going to happen to your car? That's what everyone's interested in right now.
Here's the heading: ban petrol and diesel cars. Ban petrol and diesel cars. So can you imagine? In addition to
ban them, not give you a time to take it off the road. Just say you're not allowed to have one. End of story. Okay. And this is not just where South Africa's headed. This is happening worldwide.
So just imagine, inter-provincial travel is going to be highly monitored and tracked. You won't be able to go in your own vehicle.
Full control over where you go.
You won't be able to escape. So if you are fighting the system in any way, you'll have nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
And you will also start to see the timelines that I spoke of before starting to play out here. And why I say, according to these global masters that control organizations like the UN, why these timelines are so important to them.
In addition to the investment into the public transport sector, the report also noted South Africa needs to ban ICE,
internal combustion engine vehicle sales.
Our cars, basically.
Yeah.
This includes a ban on ICE vehicles for passenger, public and private, and freight use from 2035, and hybrid vehicle sales by 2040. So even if you've invested in a hybrid by 2040, you cannot drive the thing.
Based on what we submitted at COP26 and said that we would stick to.
So basically for our children.
This is what the government has done to us. Okay.
This is what the future looks like. Our children, their generation, when they are adults, they will live in a society where it's not normal for individuals to drive. So the government or the state's vehicles will be more powerful and far faster than whatever you are allowed to drive.
Please, I really want you to share this video as far as you can. Tell everyone you know that we need to do something about this, because there is an answer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There is something we can do about this.
To stop what I call the dystopian nightmare. The fourth industrial revolution.
I think if people don't realize this at this stage, we need to make them aware. That's what we're trying to do on this channel. And with the Omega training, we will help you to show you how you can create the future that you want. But understanding why we're doing what we're doing is important.
This is a big why. So let's find out how much this is going to cost. The report added that this needs to be supported with the development of supporting zero-emission vehicle infrastructure at the cost of 4 billion rand.
So your taxpayer money
again,
supporting electric vehicles.
South Africa needs to develop a roadmap with construction targets per geography. Initial projections show that around 100,000 public charging units are required by 2030.
So, get into the charging unit business, people, by 2030. That's in less than 7 years' time. They need 100,000 public charging units around the country.
That's just to start.
Yeah, that's for starters.
However, the report noted that consumer preferences cannot easily be influenced. Thus, significant incentives and disincentives are required to ensure the uptake of new energy vehicles in the short term. Enter the PSYOP, which will become our future. An example is partnerships with the finance sector to provide bespoke financial products for EVs.
They will just stop financing petrol vehicles, okay? It'll be that simple. Because most people can't buy them outright.
It's a booming industry, specifically in South Africa. So we're going to completely paralyze an entire industry in this country. However, the report added that it is not only on the demand side that South Africa needs to shift to EVs. About 60% of local vehicle production is exported, of which 60% is to European markets.
So that manufacturing sector we will also lose. Port Elizabeth will heavily suffer under this.
So the jobs gained from this new industry they speak of will be completely made neutral, pointless with the jobs that are going to be lost.
To me, this is about freedom of choice being removed at the end of the day. And what is replacing that? So what is replacing what we had? And it's more control at the end of the day.
Yeah. While South Africa has leveraged a degree of climate finance from the international community, SA's 1.5 trillion just energy transition investment plan, the scale and depth of the transition envisaged will require additional investments over an extended period. That is a lot of money. So they can find money for the just energy transition, but not for any of the other issues, millions of issues we have in this country.
And then there's an entire report that you can read. You can go and look at that report,
a big
read and weep,
66-page one,
and see who's all involved. The companies involved. CEO champion. See who's championing
there's our
all
friend.
Of this. Andre de Ruyter, Eskom CEO, one of the big champions. Yeah, go and look at them. Sanlam, PricewaterhouseCoopers, ABSA. Go and look at all the people. Anglo-American, of course.
Engen, of course. BP.
I don't know why Engen is supporting this. What are they getting in the back end? But in any case, there's GE, PPC, SAPI, Sasol, Mondi. They are all in on it. All the big corporations will benefit from this in the long run. They are becoming a part of this transition already, and they will reinvent their businesses. Engen will soon start manufacturing electric cars or put in the charging stations. Engen electric charger.
They'll be at the forefront of adapting to
driven by a coal-fired power station.
So that's just a glimpse of our future. You'll see these articles they occur in silos. So we'll read about this, which is how we're going to drive one day. Then there'll be a smart city article, or there'll be a energy on how we're going to get our energy in the future. We read these things in silos, and sometimes we don't paint the big picture of what the future is going to look like. But all of this is pointing towards us being monitored, tracked, traced, and what people fail to mention is also rationed. What we need to survive will be very much rationed. And it's just an agenda of population control. We don't have sovereignty. It doesn't matter which party is in charge in the current system. It doesn't matter who's the president in the current system. They still answer to global authority.
But to me, it's important that we have a solution, that there is actually a solution to this, and that you can become a part of that solution. And, just keep on following us. Join us as a member on this channel. You can click the join button underneath this video. And there we will discuss the problems of the world in more detail. Last week we covered the Rothschild dynasty. This week we will be covering the Sassoon family. And you'll be hopefully you will be interested in seeing how they have played into what is actually happening behind the scenes, and all the smaller companies that come from these powerhouses, these families that have been in control of the world for many decades and centuries.
Yes, please write in the comments what your thoughts are on this change that's going to take place, the life without motorized vehicles.
Yes, and your choice of transport being removed based on what we submitted at COP26. Tell us how you feel about this, your emotions when you hear that your petrol or diesel vehicle might be banned, the one that you've paid off on for so long, the one that you cherish. Maybe you've got an old mobile that runs on petrol that'll be banned. That'll be relinquished to a museum somewhere.
And if you have children, maybe comment how you feel about your children growing up in a world where it won't be normal to just get into your car and drive somewhere, that freedom of movement completely gone.
Yeah. That is, our kids won't they won't put up with that. Our kids won't put up with that. They will fight this themselves. I mean, they might be young now, but hopefully you're also raising warriors that will fight these injustices where freedom is removed. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't pollute. We should absolutely change how we do things, but we need to do it voluntarily. We shouldn't have outside people forcing us to do anything, especially organizations like the United Nations. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share it with your friends and family. Tell people about this. Speak about it when you're braaiing with your friends, or when you're having a get-together at church, at mosque, in the synagogue, wherever. Speak about the fact that our freedoms will be removed. And I'm all for cleaner cities, not polluting as much. And maybe we do need to change how we do things. But we should encourage people to do it, not ban.
No, this is not the way. This global agenda is not the way.
Absolutely
so we need to stay sovereign as a nation and as individuals.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.